Hey, I'm Elena Deldon, and welcome to the Double Clutch podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, basketball fans of all ages, welcome to the Double Clutch podcast with me, Huw Hopkins. We have a very special podcast for you today because the people listening, this is a great time of year because we're sort of in a weird quiet period between the end of March Madness and now the start of the NBA playoffs is coming this weekend. And I think this is a good time now because we can really start to feel the hype building around women's basketball and the WNBA. Last year, Double Clutch did a few different things on the website. We dabbled in WNBA content, but this year we are going to kick it off properly. And to do that, I have a very special guest with me who I am very excited to introduce you to. It's Isabelle Harrison. Hello, Isabelle.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Now, I'm not going to go too far into your backstory today because basketball fans in the UK, they'll have heard you chatting to the queen of British basketball, Miss Benny Bonsu, a few weeks ago. So,
yeah.
so they'll have gone into your backstory. But if it's okay with you, I think we're going to just talk straight basketball today. Is that cool?
That's perfect with me.
Cool. So for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about just a little bit about you and what you're doing and what you've been doing this season, because you've been playing out in Prague, right?
Yes, but I don't know if most people know. I started off in Italy this year.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. So what happened there?
Yeah, started off in Italy. We were actually doing pretty well, but there was moments throughout the season where we didn't necessarily have everybody because of money issues, and I guess this team was known for having those complications. So around January, the team folded. Not enough players were getting paid, and they weren't going to get paid for maybe another 2-3 months, and that's something that they've already kind of been behind. So basically everybody went home, but thankfully my agent came through so clutch, maybe 2 days after I had to terminate my contract. She had my opportunity here in Prague for me to play, which is in the EuroLeague, competition, which is the best for women's basketball overseas. So I literally packed up my stuff the next day and got on a plane with me and Prince, my dog. We got on a plane and we headed here to Prague.
You got your dog out there as well?
Yeah, Prince, he goes everywhere with me. I actually just dropped him off at one of my friend's apartments. So we leave tomorrow for Sopron. So, we'll be gone for 5 days. And she has the dog too. So I know he'll enjoy this time away to run around and be crazy without me.
Cool. Yeah, we've got a dog. If you hear some barking in the background, it might be my dog trying to get in on the podcast. So far, I've been on about, I don't know, maybe 8 podcasts in the past few months, and I think she's on a 50% ratio of managing to get her bark onto the edit of the podcast. So
whatever you do, they have to be involved. So
definitely.
Right.
What type of dog is she?
Prince, it's a boy.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's okay. He acts pretty, high and mighty. And he's a Yorkie. Perfect traveling size. He's quiet, He's quiet when he's around other people. When he's with me, he's crazy.
When did you get him? Was he with you in the US?
So I got him in Korea last year, and he traveled with me. I really needed something in Korea because that was a totally different response, and I never knew how Prince would affect my life. It really is my best friend. It's great, and people have said that before. I'm like, okay, you're tripping. It's a dog. But no, Prince is really like my best friend. So Korea, he went to the States with me, and then he flew over to Italy and to Prague. So he's like a world traveler.
Nice. That's cool. But we've gone off the rails already. That'll happen a lot in these podcasts. Don't worry. So yeah, you've been playing in EuroLeague. You've been playing with Prague. How are you enjoying Prague? I've spent some time out there myself, and to me, I've never been to Berlin yet, but to me, it's the greatest city in the world.
Oh, Prague is awesome. There's so many things you can do here, and I'm a big foodie. So if I can go anywhere and get any type of food, and Czech food is really good. I don't know if most people would know that.
Yeah.
It's good. And I've had a few dishes here, and I can still get American food. I can get Mexican food, Italian, even though I was eating it so much. It's like everything you want, you can get it here. And it's a lot of attractions, and it's not so cold anymore, so I can actually go out and enjoy the weather, you know? But it's beautiful. I really love it here.
And have you sort of like, what part of the city are you living in? Where are you based?
What part of the city?
Are you central or?
No, I wish I was central. It's so pretty down there. I'm probably like 5 to 7 minutes from the central part of Prague.
Okay,
So it's really
cool.
easy to get to,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, it's really easy.
Cool. I mean, going back to what you were saying earlier, where you sort of have, it's quite difficult to get onto a good team, even more so in EuroLeague for women, because it is so competitive out there. But you've got yourself a slot, and you're playing pretty damn well. I mean, I think you're only averaging around 18 minutes, but you've got 9 points and 7 rebounds per game, and that's tough to do, especially when you come in halfway through the season.
Yeah, I don't think people really understand that. When you come into a system or a team that already kind of has a system and their, the core players, so to say, and just their flow, you really have to do a good job of just doing your role, you know what I mean? Making sure you contribute, making sure you bring energy, and that's something I feel like I've really done here. My teammates have been so awesome. They really accepted me, and my head coach, she's cool too. Really been understanding with, just this whole transition for me,
Yeah.
So yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I really just want to do my part.
Cool. You've played abroad a bit previously, though. You mentioned Korea. You've also played in Poland, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah, I played in Prague.
Yeah. How'd you get on out there? That was a few years ago now, was it?
That was 2015. Oh my God, time flies, man. When we went out there, this just passed like maybe a month ago. It was so wild to just see the fans, because I played with CCC Poco.
Yeah.
Their coach now was that was his first year coaching. He had no wins underneath his belt, no EuroLeague wins or anything. So we really did build up a good system for, incoming players that next year, and we did a good job in Polish League. So just going back and seeing all the old fans and the staff was like it was so crazy to me, like a flashback. I couldn't believe I was already back there. But it was good. It was good.
Did you? I don't think you would have. But did you cross paths with Temi Fagbenle at all?
No, I don't think so.
No, she's playing for the team now. I think she's won the MVP this season in the Polish league. She's a Team GB player, and she also plays with the Minnesota Lynx. So
Yeah.
she's having herself a pretty cool career, and she's been really kind to myself and to the guys at Double Clutch. We had an interview with her last year, and she's been really helpful. So yeah, it just my general interest really, if you'd cross paths with her. But did you play against her then earlier this season?
No, I didn't think so. Again, I was in Italy, so.
Oh yeah, you were in Italy at the time, weren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, right. I'm with you. Okay. Well, so moving on a little bit then, because I wanted to bring you on here specifically to talk about sort of, we're building up into a WNBA season now, but I mean we're just coming off the back of like March Madness and things like that. Now most of the listeners, they will have heard about like Zion and Duke, but we're out here, we're trying to educate people about women's basketball as well. Did you watch much of the women's tournament?
I try to stay up late for obviously the national championship game. I think the game before we had a game, so I couldn't stay up too late. But that game was awesome. I think that is the type of game that you should expect from a. We have high and lows, but just a lot of peaks throughout the game, and just two great teams, man. Baylor and Notre Dame, like they're really. I mean, they're storied programs anyways, but for them to be in a national championship together, like it was awesome to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess I'll just do a quick rundown for the people listening that might not have necessarily watched the game. But Lauren Cox, one of the key players for Baylor, went down with and the team was around like 16 points down or something at the time when she went down, but the team pulled together, they erased that deficit, they traded clutch shots, each team was going really hard, you know, and it came down to, I mean, I felt so bad. I think it was Arike Ogbu, oh man, I can't get this name, Ogunbowale.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it better than me.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, sorry, Arike. I absolutely murdered that pronunciation. But for Notre Dame, the team was down 2 points. She had a couple of free throws going up. I mean, the first one she missed, and I think she sort of tried to miss the second one, but it seems like it accidentally went in. And I mean, that feeling must have been crushing. You've been to these tournaments. I mean, what's the atmosphere like? What's the pressure like in those tournaments?
It seriously feels like I don't know what for other players, but for me, it feels like everything is so sped up and slowed down at the same time. You know what I mean? I can probably imagine her feeling at the free throw line, just feeling everything just going real slow because it determines so much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to do everything very carefully, and but just playing, you can just imagine. I think they had like 20,000 fans in attendance.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. I mean, that's how it should be. Honestly, I shouldn't be surprised, but you can just see like things like that is starting to grow the game, and more people are becoming aware of, you know, women's basketball, and on the highest stages in NCAA. You know.
Yeah.
That's like it's most exciting. So you can just imagine like all the emotions going through their mind.
Yeah, I mean, you in your college career, I believe you went to the Elite Eight nearly every year. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you never quite made it into the Final Four.
Final Four, and you know, I was thinking about this earlier. So I came in with two other players, Sierra Burdick and Ariel Massengale, and they were both USA players. And every single year, well, after Pat left my freshman year, we had Holly, of course. Every year, one of us was hurt when it was time to go into the Elite Eight. So we never could complete a tournament together.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Because I mean, you briefly spoke on it. Of course, you know, you only were coached by Pat for one season. Sadly, I want to sort of speak about her in a bit, but I mean that you know you did have a pretty solid team that your entire time, apart from, like you said, down the final stretches. But like, when you've got 20,000 people, I mean, it was probably around the same numbers as for you back in the day. I mean,
yeah, sure.
You know, but and they say nobody watches women's basketball. It's crazy, right? But yeah, like, I don't know. It must have just been such a unique feeling. Like, how does that compare to the professional game? Because of course, you know, you do still have passionate fans, but I think when you're on a college campus and you pretty much walk past everybody in the crowd like every day on campus and things like that, what's that feeling like when you're playing in front of 20,000 people, half of which you probably, you know by face at least?
I would say for sure for Tennessee, especially Lady Vols, like we get really big turnouts for even the home games. So Knoxville I always felt that amount of people there, no matter if it was the energy. And I think just having those people come in and day out, like our fans, it did become more personal. And I would start to meet people on campus that would come to the game, and I would ask them, tell them, bring a friend. And, they would have a whole little student section, and we would build each year that I was there. So, having that experience in college, like I said, it just makes it so much personal. And then when you go to WNBA, your fans follow you there, but it's like you're traveling, you have so many things you do. It really takes that element of, that personal connection that you used to have. I just had one of my really good close friends in Knoxville. She just hit me up, and she's coming to the game on the 26th in Las Vegas. And it's just so crazy because I used to just go to dinner with her randomly after games, spend a lot of time with her. So it's like, wow, you really have to just catch each other when you can.
Yeah,
nowadays.
Yeah, that's just life being an adult, isn't it? Really, I mean, you don't realize when you're in that college, or for me, for that university atmosphere, like it's you don't realize what the world is gonna pile upon you when you leave, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we spoke about it, we touched on it briefly earlier, but you were coached by Pat Summitt, who, I mean, in sort of all of basketball, she's probably, men's, women's, American, international, she's probably a top 10 coach of all time, right? I mean, but she was known, she openly said that, like, by the time she reached the later stages of her career, she'd sort of, calmed down a little bit, but she was renowned for having this, like, icy stare, if a player ever sort of messed up on the court, what did you ever sort of, feel the wrath of that icy stare of Pat Summitt?
Of course. My freshman year, you come into college, honestly, most freshmen do this. You come in thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, like, I got this, and you get to college and you really realize you have a wake-up call, And what better way to have a wake-up call than Pat Summitt? Like, she just expects so much out of her players. And that's probably the most influential coach I've ever had. And it got to a point where, I had to look at myself in the mirror oftentimes and say, what can I do to be better? Because I have this woman that believes in me. I'm obviously here for a reason. She came to recruit me for a reason. So, she really drove me to just dig down deep in myself my freshman year to become a better player. And not just for myself, for my teammates too, learn to play within the system. You don't do that in high school. You're just out there really hooping, You got to learn the game. You got to increase your basketball IQ, because she saw what my future could be like that if I continued to, play the basketball. And she knows about the overseas season. She knows about the WNBA. So she really was training us from an early age. So when we got to that point, we would be prepared as possible, So, in the moment, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, oh my gosh, this is like too much. I don't know if I can last here. But, looking back now, I'm so grateful for the role she played in my life.
What was there much of a difference in terms of their coaching style, in terms of what you learned from her?
My sophomore year, it really was like a relearning of everything. Holly had to find her coaching style. She had to learn to, be more assertive as a head coach. She had to learn to really push us to where we needed to be. And I would say over the years, sophomore to senior year, she improved so much by that. And, I know she's not with Tennessee anymore, but I wish people would see how much work she put into what she wanted to do, not only for us, but to make Pat proud. That's your best friend for over 30 years.
Yeah.
And to lose them over something like that, why would you come to work if you didn't love it, Because you know what it would be like if they were there. So she never disrespected that fact at all. She came into work ready for us to be there and to work. So, the coaching styles, it definitely was different. But in a sense, we still had Pat there,
Yeah.
Through Holly's experience and my other assistant coach, Dean Lockwood, and my other assistant coach, Kyra Elsie, who played for Pat. So, again, she reaches out to so many people, and just the fact that she's no longer with us in that moment, she still was with us.
Yeah.
So
after you left college, you then moved on to you then moved on to the W. I believe you're taken in the first round. What was it? I mean, I don't think enough sort of media hype goes around the women's game in the same way that it does the men's game. I mean, you hear so many male athletes talk about what it was like on that first night of the NBA draft, but what's it like for the WNBA players coming into the league?
Honestly, like, my draft experience, I mean, I was in Connecticut, so there's not much to do or an exciting environment in Connecticut. I think the most exciting part of the whole experience was I was being drafted, but the draft was at the Mohegan Sun, so of course all their fans and UConn's fans came out. And I'm so jealous that the girls get to go to New York now. Like, that's such an awesome venue to have it there, you know, not only for themselves, but for family to come. It's an easier place for people to get to. So yeah, I just recently tore my ACL. Yeah, 2 months before that, and I had surgery, and I could barely walk. So I'm thinking, sitting there in my seat, who's gonna draft me?
Yeah.
You know, who's gonna take on someone who obviously can't play this year on a first round pick when they could pick anybody?
Yeah.
So honestly, I was sitting there just waiting for whenever my name was going to be called. And I wasn't expecting the first round, and so when my name was called, I was really in shock. So I just got my crutches, pushed up the stage, and held my jersey. And I mean, it was a cool experience just to see where you're gonna go, because you don't know, you really don't know until it's actually time, you know. So I think it's an exciting experience, and again, the fact that they have it in New York and it's going to be a lot more coverage. Hopefully, they continue to build off of that every year, so girls can have that special moment, you know.
Yeah. Now, I don't know whether you've been following much of the storylines around the college basketball scene or the tournament, but one of the sort of big players, though, you know, it was sort of like, you know, is she going to leave early? She could be the number one pick, but is Sabrina Ionescu. Have you watched much of her game so far?
You know, I've seen clips of her playing, and I think the one thing I take away from it is her high motor, and the fact that how she gets her teammates around her. I think that's really important for a young player like that. You know what I mean? To be able to take your program to the level she's taking it to, and to get your teammates to all be on board. That's a lot. A lot of people underestimate that, and that's not an easy thing to do. And for her to continue to do that, that's awesome. But I have to applaud her for, you know, wanting to return to Oregon, and, you know, people were expecting her to come out, but, you know, at the end of the day, she gets another year of education. She gets another chance to, you know, win a national championship. Hopefully they go back far like they did this year. But I'm glad I feel like she's seeing the bigger picture of everything, you know?
Yeah.
Once she's up there in those talks, I do believe like they'll continue to be there just the following year, you know? So I commend her for doing that.
Yeah, I sort of tweeted yesterday that I think it's the biggest return to college story since like Tim Duncan, maybe. I mean, you know, there's not many that for her who, I mean, many people considered her a number one pick this year. You know, so like for her to, you know, think, no, you know what, I want my education. I want to give this another go round and see if we can get deeper into the tournament. Let's, you know, I think that's been widely praised and respected, and rightly so. Yeah. Yeah,
for sure. You got to do what's, you know, you got to think bigger than basketball. And I think a really good thing now with social media, it was kind of just picking up towards the end of my senior year, but you can really build your brand. And I think that's something I feel like players are keeping in mind now, to build their brand. And, you know, the WNBA is going to be there when you leave. Continue to, you know, you have your fans there. Create something that you can do this whole next year, you know, really take opportunities with your program to continue to build connection. And that whole fan base to the W next year, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have to think more about things like that.
So who else has sort of stood out to you? And you know, we've got by the time people are listening to this, the draft might have happened. I think it's happening tomorrow night. So, you know, people will be people might have already been drafted by then. So I'm not going to try and get you to like guess all the where players are going to be going in the draft, because it'll have already happened, and I don't want to make you look silly. But what other players do you like coming out of college this season and going into the WNBA draft?
I mean, you can speak on game, but honestly, because I was her host when she came on her visit, Kalani Brown.
Yeah.
I just to see where she's gotten to and to win the national championship, and her whole family dynamic. Like, deep from that sports lineage and win a national championship. And I read somewhere, out of all the years of his playoffs experience, her dad like retired the year he won a playoff championship. And she got her championship the last year she was there too.
That's
so I
cool.
thought that was really cool. You know, it made me think like, man, am I getting old? Like I was her freaking host and now she's coming to the WNBA. Like, oh my God, time really has to slow down. But no, I'm really proud of her. She's such a sweet girl, awesome girl, great spirit. Her mom's even more awesome. So I'm excited to see where she lands.
I think the coolest thing about Kalani Brown that I noticed is that like beyond the game, the first thing she did once the buzzer went off is like she found Lauren Cox, who was, you know, she was stuck over on the bench because I mean thankfully I think the report is that she hasn't broken her leg, but she went down earlier in the game. She was on crutches, but she was a big part of, you know, getting the team to the championship game and, you know, winning it. But obviously she wasn't there for the final quarter. But Kalani, the first person she wanted to hug was Lauren. So I just thought that says a lot about her character as well. And I think that's.
I relate to Lauren Cox's situation so much because when you contributed so much throughout the season and to get to the point where you work so hard and you literally can't do anything, you know, you don't want anything to go negative because it's like shoulda, coulda, woulda. It's like I wish I would have been there to help out as much as I could. So the fact that, you know, her teammate reached out to her like that, you know, I know she was like, okay, I can relax now. But they reported she had an MCL sprain, so she won't need surgery.
Yeah, so that's great news. Hopefully, know, a bit of rehab, a bit of hard work over the next few months, but hopefully she'll be back fighting fit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of the draft, there's, Las Vegas has the first pick, and Las Vegas had the first pick the past 2 years as well. Now, there's been sort of talk that maybe Bill Laimbeer is gonna trade down and try and do some shenanigans and try and, you know, work a bit of his magic. But something that I have heard this week from a source who said, and I quote, "They have heard something," is that you will be returning to Las Vegas this season and to the WNBA. Can you break any news on that? Have you got any thoughts on that just yet?
You know, since I've came back overseas, my number one goal was to be back in the WNBA this summer. So that is the plan. If that's breaking any headlines, that's good. You know, it's all positive news. I'm looking forward to be in Vegas and be with Bill and the rest of the girls.
And the plan is to be with the Aces. Then that's what you've heard so far. That's the plan.
Says shenanigans. It can always happen, and I mean honestly, like if it was my first year, I would have, you know, it may be a little disheartening, but you know I've been doing this for a while, and trades happen throughout the season and wherever. It just matters where you put your foot, your print on whatever team you're on. So.
But I think, like, from a basketball standpoint, I actually think Bill Laimbeer, I mean, he became famous with the Detroit Pistons, and there was, you know, two big guys, a big forward and a big center there, and, you know, I could see that sort of lineup, like, you know, reminiscent of, you know, if you lined up alongside Asia Wilson this season. You know, that'd be a pretty scary a pretty scary big combination, I think, for most of the league.
Well, for sure. And she's from the SEC, so I can get down with anybody from the SEC.
Because of course you didn't play with her last season, but you have played with Kelsey back in San Antonio. Is that right?
Yeah, Plum. Yeah,
Kelsey Plum.
Yeah. It was good. Her first year, I think, you know, a lot of people had a lot of hopes for her, and I think she did for herself too. And she didn't crumble, man. She really worked hard to continue to be the good player that she is, and proved a lot of people wrong throughout the season. And then came overseas and killed it. And then went back to the Aces, did really well, a standout player for for them and came back over here. We just played them in the semifinals in
Right.
EuroLeague. She had such a good series against us.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of her.
Yeah,
She's doing well.
she's with Fenerbahce at the moment, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they're they've had an up and down program over recent years, but I think she's I mean, she's a point guard. I think it's so difficult for point guards moving into the professional game.
Mhm.
Like there's so much to learn, I think. And it's the same in some ways with post players as well. I think so many so many people are just playing so freely in college. Like we spoke about earlier. You had Pat Summitt to basically teach you how to play the game, but not everybody gets that level of coaching in high school and then in college. So I
Mhm.
think to come into a professional environment as a point guard, that you're expected to run a team, especially a team so young. Other
Yeah.
players, they're first coming into the league, they don't know what they're doing maybe just yet. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan. So when Kelsey Plum came in to the San Antonio Stars, I was like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be fire. But and
Gotta be
yeah,
quiet. That's funny.
it was so I was sort of sad to leave the Stars franchise. I was sad to see it go.
So sad too, man. Like we had such a good group there, and I had so much fun in San Antonio. But literally the whole team just traveled to Las Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
So give or take a few players. Most of the people that were there are still there, so it kind
And
of feels like a San Antonio, I don't know, reunion a little bit, I guess.
no, and that's why you can see me now. I'm wearing my Aces t-shirt. I like
Yeah.
that. I just became a fan of everybody on that team, and like you said, it's cool that you're getting a chance to go back there and play with at least some of the players that you played with before, and yeah,
Right.
fingers crossed for you there.
Thank
But
you.
I mean, you did start when you first got into the league. You were playing with Phoenix, and so how often? I mean, did you manage to play much? I know you were injured in that first year, or coming off the injury. What was playing like for you those first few years in the W?
Uh, so my rookie year, obviously I got drafted, stayed in Knoxville to rehab. So that following year, I went to Phoenix, and I kept up physically. Obviously, I still train with the girls back in Knoxville, so I had the same trainers and practice every day, so that was fine. I think it was the mental part
Right.
that, you know, so different with me. And obviously, they won the championship before that, so the next year I came in, you had Diana Taurasi, Penny Taylor, Candace Dupree, DeWanna Bonner, and Brittany Griner. So, like you said, you come into a team with such big personalities, you're trying to find your space. But I learned so much, and I didn't play that much with Phoenix, but I enjoyed my time there. Sandy Brondello was awesome. She's one of the
Yeah.
most coaches I've ever played with. She's awesome, and she was a player too. So she really could understand and teach me the game in ways I've never seen it before. So when I came back overseas to San Antonio, there was nothing new to me. I felt like, I experienced both sides. And if I could do what I did, a little bit in the WNBA and all of Poland, I can come back home and do a really good job. So being able to start for San Antonio, um, it was, it felt natural. It felt comfortable for me.
Yeah.
So after that, going there and then Korea, that's a totally different game. I don't think people know how different basketball is there in Asian countries. It's very different. But I got in so much shape. They work out so much there. Like, work ethic is like, that's what they live by. So I got in like the greatest shape. So then this past summer I wasn't able to play. So, I'm still, you know, building on my own, in two different countries. So we'll see how the summer goes.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be good. I mean, I was going to ask a little bit about that Phoenix team, because you probably didn't play as much as you wanted to. Like you said, you had a championship caliber team there, but I was just trying to sort of make some connections between maybe you playing alongside Wilson this season potentially, and then playing alongside Brittany Griner, another big. So you had two big bodies. Did you ever share the court all that much when you were on the same team together?
It didn't help me as much because, obviously Brittany's going to stay down low. She's not going to come out, and if so, it's going to be like a 15-footer, and that's it, something foot. But honestly, playing with Asia too, I played with De'Erica Hamby with San Antonio, so we're both two, tall post players. We kind of worked off of each other, and I saw that a lot going on with the Aces this past summer. So I think it could definitely be the same because De'Erica and Asia worked alongside each other too. So I think it'll be pretty similar to that. I don't think it's going to be a thing where Asia's always going to be down low and I'm going to be outside and vice versa. I think we can swap with each other.
Yeah. When you were back at San Antonio, I mean, this is more of a question for me being such a big Spurs fan, but did you ever cross paths with any Spurs legends while you were there?
Oh my gosh. I mean, obviously Becky, she was there, so
yeah.
That's just a legend in general.
Oh,
and
hell yeah.
the fact that she's on, helping them out, that they got a good bonus there. But no, we didn't come across the men that much.
No.
And I went to like one playoff game when I first got there, and after that, they moved. They have like a whole other practice facility.
Yeah.
So we have the facility at AT&T, and they have a whole nother area. So they mostly stayed there. So we were pretty separate during the season.
It seems like in recent years, though, the WNBA and the NBA, they've tried to sort of, create opportunities where players can be seen and, sort of supporting each other. And, it seems like they're almost, trying to get NBA players to WNBA games and vice versa, to sort of, I guess, as part of the marketing for the league. But you're also seeing a lot of the guys come out and try and help promote the sport and actually just recognize good ball playing. Like there's no denying it once you go to one of these games. The talent in the WNBA and in EuroLeague and anywhere you go in the world for the women's game, it's on such a high level.
I think it's more so about like trying to recognize it. I think these men actually do.
Yeah.
I think they really do a good job of than before. But a lot of those players, their mom was an athlete.
Yeah.
Or they come from an athletic background and they have sisters who play basketball, so they can understand and respect the game. It's mostly the people like who don't play at all, or they score 50 at like a church league type of thing, who say things about women's basketball that's totally inaccurate. And those are the people that I feel like you often get in, deep, hard conversations about, because I feel like people like that, if they're honest, let's just be honest, like if any WNBA player was to play in the same situation as them, like we can obviously see what it is. Like I'm a professional, I feel like if a person, if Joe on the side of the street ever said they could be like not comparing me to LeBron, just saying, a well-known NBA player, they were able to say, I could beat LeBron. That's an insult, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you should have the same energy, because this is our job. We've done this. We put in thousands of hours for this,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think often people need to take that into consideration, because it makes me mad. It makes me so mad. Crazy that people
I'm
think
with
that.
you. Like, what do you feel the sort of impression is like in Europe in comparison? Do you think that whole you hate to say it, but like the whole get back in the kitchen mindset of some of these online trolls, do you think that's just a Western thing? Do you think it's just in the US and the UK, or do you find you get that,
First of all, I want people to get more original. I'm so tired of the Get back in the kitchen. So let's just throw it out there. But two, no, I don't ever get that vibe when I'm overseas. A lot of basketball in America is viewed as dunking
Yeah.
and able to do dunk tricks. And when you get into EuroLeague, well, not EuroLeague, basketball overseas, even for the men's game, it's a lot more technical. You do a lot. I feel like the basketball IQ over here is higher because of the things that they may lack against an American player. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have to really think the game. And I've met so many smart players that just know and think the game that were from other countries because they have to play like that. But yeah, people over here respect the game, men or women.
Yeah. This week the WNBA has had like a bit of a branding refresh. It's got a new logo and it's got a new video and things like that. Have you seen that yet?
I saw it. I saw the video. I thought the vibe was cool. I thought it was nice. It was like more modern, up to date. But I don't know about this logo. Do you like it?
I don't know. I think it's a bit more modern. Have you got any theories about who the player might be in the logo? I don't think they've shared that yet.
No, but honestly, I was looking at it and someone with that build, like arms like that and a bun, Kia Stokes.
Oh, okay.
Look like Stokes too?
Yeah. Well, I thought actually maybe Cambage a little bit, but maybe
But hers is more to like the middle of her hair. This is kind of like a high
on
bun.
top.
People were saying Diana. I was like, Diana isn't shaped like that.
She's not.
So,
She hasn't got the arms like that. No offense to
Exactly.
Diana. Like she's a tough lady, but yeah.
definitely a post player. It's definitely a post player. Just the way that it is.
I agree. Cool. Well, I think we're nearly wrapping it up, but I did want to just get your thoughts. I mean, on one last thing that going into this season, we're expecting the WNBA collective bargaining agreement to sort of be a bit of a topic. It runs out at the end of the year, and I think it's going to be handled a lot better than the men's one, which caused a lockout a few years ago in the NBA.
Right.
But
Right.
have you got any concerns? Have you got any thoughts about what that might do to not to this season? I think it's going to see us through to the end of the season, but maybe going into next year.
A few players have talked about it, and I think it's coming to a point where it's a collective agreement that players kind of are demanding more, and it's kind of on the owners to make that decision. And I know a lot of people have talked about like a similar idea, happening with the WNBA as far as a lockout. I don't know. Obviously it's up to the owners, but I think it's just to a point where, people feel like players feel like they deserve, certain things that's going on with the WNBA. I don't know if most people would know about it, but, we'll have to see. Hopefully this year, with just the team leaders, team reps from each team, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. But you're good, whatever happens at the end of the season regarding the collective bargaining agreement, you're fingers crossed you're going to be back in the league, back banging on the boards and getting buckets. That's the plan.
That is the plan, man. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm just excited about the summer and wherever I'm at. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
And you're going to make sure your dog gets back with you to Vegas?
I don't know if Prince can stand the heat though. He's never been in like a really hot climate. Texas is not as hot as Vegas, so let's see if he'll do well.
Cool. Well, listen, best of luck going into this season. We're gonna be watching, and you're more than welcome to join us on the Double Clutch podcast again. Maybe we'll get you on halfway through the season or something and see how you're feeling.
That sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
So you've been listening to the Double Clutch podcast with me, Huw Hopkins, and a very special guest. Big thanks to Isabelle Harrison, who hopefully we'll all be seeing on the Las Vegas Aces in just a few weeks' time. On the website, we're going to be launching a bunch of season previews for each team in the coming weeks. We've got a lot of plans for the upcoming season regarding content, so make sure you do check us out on doubleclutch.uk, and you can find us on all the social media channels as well, on Twitter at doubleclutchuk, and on Instagram the same thing there, or you can hear my thoughts on Twitter at coach_Huw, that's HUW. And feel free to give me a shout if you've got any questions about the women's game, about the WNBA, about EuroLeague, about the international game. More than happy to try and build up the momentum that we're getting this season. One last quick thing going into this weekend, we have got a double clutch NBA playoffs tip-off party. We're going to be at N1 Bar in London, and we've basically booked out a bunch of spaces for NBA fans for the playoff tip-off. Basically, we've got the bar for I think it's about 3 p.m. until about 6 p.m. the following morning, and we're going to be watching all of Saturday's NBA games as we kick off the playoffs in style. So make sure you do visit the website and RSVP to that, so we can make sure you have your space secured. And also just make sure you're checking out the website, guys. Make sure you check out the podcast and give us 5 stars on whatever podcast player you are listening to us on right now. We'd very much appreciate that. But for now, catch up with you later.